The day my father died, my brother hugged me and said, "Don't worry, I'll take care of everything." I believed him. 3 weeks later, I discovered something that made my blood run cold. My father had left everything to me, but somehow, my brother had already taken it all, and that's when I realized something. My brother didn't just steal my inheritance. He thought he had outsmarted me. What he didn't know was that his greed was about to destroy everything he had. My name is Daniel, and I grew up in a small town in Ohio. My father was a hardworking man who built a small construction company from nothing. He spent 35 years of his life building that business brick by brick. My older brother Mark and I were completely different. Mark was charming, confident, and good at talking his way out of trouble. People liked him easily, but I always noticed something about him that others didn't. Mark loved shortcuts. He hated hard work. While my dad and I spent summers working construction jobs together, Mark was usually out partying with his friends. Dad used to shake his head and say, "One day Mark will learn the value of hard work." But that day never came. I stayed close with my father over the years. After college, I even joined his company full-time. Mark, on the other hand, bounced between failed business ideas and expensive hobbies. Yet somehow, he always managed to convince people he was successful. 3 years ago, my father got sick, cancer. Within 6 months, he was gone. Losing him was the hardest thing I've ever experienced. During the funeral, Mark played the role of the grieving son perfectly. He hugged relatives, comforted my mom, and kept telling everyone, "Don't worry, I'll handle the business and the legal stuff." At the time, I was emotionally exhausted, so I trusted him. Big mistake. A few weeks later, I asked Mark when we would meet with the lawyer about Dad's will. He casually said, "Oh, Dad didn't really leave much." The company had debts. That didn't make sense. The company was doing well. I handled most of the finances myself. Something felt wrong. So I called Dad's lawyer directly. That phone call changed everything. The lawyer sounded confused. "Daniel, didn't Mark tell you? Your father left the company and most of his assets to you." My heart started racing. "What do you mean?" The lawyer explained that my father had written a very clear will. The construction company, the main bank accounts, even the family house. They were all supposed to go to me, but somehow the company ownership had already been transferred. To Mark, I drove straight to Mark's house. When I confronted him, he didn't even try to deny it. Instead, he leaned back in his chair and smiled. "Relax, little brother. I just made some adjustments." I felt my hands shaking. "You forged documents?" He shrugged. "Technically, I just convinced the right people that Dad wanted me to run the company." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. My own brother had stolen our father's life work, and the worst part? He thought it was funny. "You were always Dad's favorite," Mark said. "Now it's my turn." I walked out before I did something I'd regret. But that night I made a decision. If Mark wanted to play dirty, I would play smarter. Mark had always been greedy, and greedy people make mistakes. Over the next few months, I stayed quiet. Mark took full control of the company. At first, he acted like a big-shot CEO. He bought a brand new sports car, started posting flashy photos online, even bragged about how he was expanding the business. But Mark didn't understand construction. He didn't understand contracts. And he definitely didn't understand the financial system my dad and I built. Because here's the thing. Before my father died, he had already made me the authorized financial controller of several company accounts. Mark had the title of owner, but I still had access to the financial history. And what I found was interesting, very interesting. Mark had started making some extremely questionable decisions. He was signing contracts he didn't fully understand, taking risky loans, and moving money in ways that were legally suspicious. So instead of fighting him immediately, I started documenting everything, every bad contract, every illegal payment, every shady deal. For 6 months, I collected evidence, and Mark kept digging his own grave. One evening, Mark called me. His voice sounded nervous. "Hey, I might need some help." Apparently, one of the huge projects he signed had completely collapsed. The investors were furious. The bank was asking questions, and Mark had no idea how to fix it. He asked if I could help him sort out the paperwork. I agreed. but not for the reason he thought. You see, by this point I had already spoken to two people, a lawyer and a financial investigator. Both of them were very interested in Mark's activities, so when Mark invited me into the company again, I had everything I needed. Over the next 2 weeks, I helped Mark review the company's finances. He thought I was saving him. In reality, I was organizing the evidence against him. When the time was right, my lawyer filed a case. The investigation revealed something shocking. Mark hadn't just stolen the company. He had committed multiple financial violations, forgery, fraud, and misuse of corporate funds. The investors immediately pulled their money. The bank froze the accounts, and within a month, the company was forced into legal restructuring. Mark lost control of everything. During the court hearings, the forged inheritance documents were exposed. The judge ruled that the original will was valid, meaning the company was legally mine all along. Mark stood there in the courtroom looking completely stunned. In the end, the court ordered Mark to repay the money he had taken. He couldn't. His expensive car was repossessed. His house was sold, and his reputation in the business community was completely destroyed. Meanwhile, I rebuilt the company, slowly, the same way my father had done, one project at a time, one honest deal at a time. Last year, the company reached its highest profits ever. Sometimes people ask me if I hate my brother. Honestly, I don't, because the truth is, I never had to destroy him. His own greed did that for me. A few months ago, Mark sent me a message, just one sentence. "Can we talk?" I never replied. Because some betrayals don't deserve closure, and sometimes the best revenge isn't anger. It's watching the person who betrayed you realize they lost everything.